Don Hamilton won. Lowly old me. Nada. You! What's up? Welcome to Answers with Guests, halftime adjustments for week 14. Uh, really good week, really good calls. Live show, we had good calls throughout the week. Some of our opinions changed. That's why we always talk about how on a Tuesday night, a lot of things are going to change. One thing, for instance, I like Jeff Wilson on Tuesday. We did a Tuesday show. Came Sunday morning, went against him. He didn't do well. So it's good. That's why we can't make those decisions on Tuesday. That's why questions being answered on Tuesday don't mean much. But as I said in the intro, Dawn did not like Deshaun Watson. I like Deshaun Watson. She wins. I owe her something. I got to add her name to that T-shirt list, I think. I know a lot of people also didn't like Deshaun. Thought he'd do a little better. Listen, he didn't have to do too much. He didn't do too much. The defense was incredible. They scored 3 different ways. We all know the scoop there. Don't have much of a show. Didn't plan a rundown. Well, I planned one. Didn't have one on. A couple technical malfunctions getting live tonight. So we're just going to jump into what we've got here. So let me just throw this up here just in case you didn't hear me the first time. This is Answer with Guests, Week 14 halftime adjustments. We are fantasy football's inside scoop from outside the box. Rob would be mad if I didn't tell you to like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Patreon. Use the hashtags Answer by Guests, hashtag ABGFF. So like I said, we got some questions from the group, but really just two guys. So I put some little notes on here because we were kind of a little out of time. So we'll talk about him. Spencer said he can't make a waiver move after Friday. So he's in a league where he has to get his entire lineup. He can't drop guys. He can't add guys once Friday comes. So he had a question about quarterbacks, and I said keep the two QBs you had. He has Mike White and Watson. Now, Mike White could lose the job. Don't see it happening. I don't see how they could ever give it back to Zach Wilson. And Watson's not going to lose his job. The team's not. They're not out of the playoffs, but they paid him all that money, traded all that stuff for him. So I don't see it happening. But Huntley, Tannehill, Russ, and Heineke, I'm not sure they're much better. Heineke's on a bye anyways. Russ has been terrible. Huntley would be the only one. There's a chance Lamar's out for the entire year. I know they're saying 1 week to 4 weeks, but 4 weeks is all we've got here. But I think I would just stick with Mike White, and Deshaun should be better each and every week. There's probably going to be games where he has to be better for them to be competitive. So I keep those guys. He asked a question about James Cook, and he asked a question about Elijah Moore. I would scoop James Cook, and I would drop Elijah Moore. You've got enough wide receivers on your team. That you could benefit from the extra RB depth. And he asked the question, would he start Damian Pierce or Rachaad White? I would start Pierce, but again, like I said in the intro, it's Tuesday night. That could change, but as of now, I would start Pierce over White this week. He asked the question about his defenses. I think they're fine. He has Tampa Bay and Kansas City, but also I don't know what's available. There could be people out there like the Saints have been sneakily pretty good. Arizona's been pretty good. Carolina's been pretty good. I would be looking at matchups. I got to know what's out there, though. So if you want to post what's out there on the page, we could take a closer look. But Tampa Bay and Kansas City are pretty good, especially Tampa Bay. Jeremy was his second person that asked questions. He wanted to know if it's good to roll with the Akers this week, or was it a 1 week thing? Well, they're playing against the Raiders on Thursday night, and he is their RB1. He's their first and second down back. That's what we said would happen basically Sunday on the show. And Kyron would be the 3, and Akers, he wasn't great, but he got 2 touchdowns. If you don't have anything better, I don't see why not. Especially, I know Thursday games suck, but they're going against the Raiders, who, by the way, the Raiders have won 3 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken. 2 quick ones in overtime, and then last week beat the Chargers, if I'm not mistaken. Jeremy, any decent wide receiver streamers this week and any RBs in a less than deep league? He's talking about our ABG league for streamers, 14 team league, plus there's an extra flex position. So it's pretty dire out there. Through some of the names that are out there, Parker, Devontae, Monday night, that'll give you a shot. If you need somebody, they're going against the Cardinals. He'd be at the top of my list. I don't like Ikhine Akina for Tennessee at all, so I can't really recommend him. But if Burks doesn't go, it's an option. Tony is always an option. Hodgins is somebody we've been talking about for weeks. He was our guest appetizer at the Thanksgiving show, the halftime adjustment show, Answers with Guests before Thanksgiving. And he got his touchdown last week. He was so close 2 weeks ago. Jennings is always viable. Didn't do much last week, but now with the third string quarterback, we'll see. Boog Powell, Brandon, he's been doing some things now for the Rams. It's a Thursday game, though, once again, but we are going against Vegas. So if I had to put those in order, I'd probably go Parker, Hodgins, Powell, Sherfield. And I would just forget about Ikhine and Tony. Yes, I know it's Akina, but Ikhine is ickier. So is he. Then you want to know about running backs in a less than deep league. I'm just going to guess guys like this are available. McKinnon, Hubbard, Kyron, Cook, Mason, Warren. Cook is obviously on the top. You probably put McKinnon second. Hubbard and Kyron are right there. And Mason and Warren are two guys that are in like four-man backfields at this point. So if it's just some depth, that's what you're going after. And if it's more shallow than that, then there's better guys than that available. Let us know. Make a post. Get your questions live. Let's see what we got so far. Just Allen on here. That's okay. Nice, quick, easy one. What a bust Watson was. Yeah, started Fields good. I started Trevor Lawrence over Fields, and it was only like 2 or 3 points difference, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, Watson, Don, and a lot of you, actually, and a lot of people everywhere, I'm sure, he showed some signs of rust for sure. But their offense didn't have to do much. When you're getting 21 points from your defense and your special teams, you don't have to do too much. The one thing I do like about that we absolutely nailed, that I've been talking about for a few weeks, forecasting that it probably would happen, was Kareem Hunt was a lot more involved. I do think Deshaun Watson's going to help him moving forward. So if you're holding on to him, or Jeremy, if you're talking about running backs in a more shallow league, less deep, maybe Kareem Hunt is somebody you look at, because he had his most productive game of the season, I think. I mean, maybe not the most productive points-wise, but he was involved. And yes, it was against Houston, so take it with a grain of salt. But I do think once Watson gets his feet under him, and once they're in games where they have to be offensively more competitive, they did not need to be. I think that's just going to help Hunt and Watson. Now you roll right into Cousins. Cousins, the 1 o'clock game. It's in a dome, but it's on the road. I mean, Tuesday night, there's going to mean nothing. But, I mean, I see the Cousins play. I was talking to Chad, one of our Patreon subscribers, so thank you once again to him for being one of those. And he wanted to go after Cousins. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there, and I could see the appeal of Cousins. Detroit's offense has been good enough that they're going to have to score points in Minnesota. It's not going to be something where you're worried about him getting taken out of the game early. But I don't think that, Watson's going to be able to be as terrible as he was. Cincinnati's defense is pretty good. They have Mahomes' number. This is going to be a division game against the interstate rival. Cleveland versus Cincy this week. And, Watson's going to have to be better to stay in this game. Both on the road. Based on last week, maybe I lean Cousins on a Tuesday night. But, if it's not this week, it might be next week where we see vintage Watson. But it's really close, because Cousins on the road is different than Cousins at home. The one thing he has going in his favor is it's in the dome. DPJ or Gabe Davis. Here's where I might go DPJ. Because I'm sort of liking Watson to be in DPJ. Got the lucky one last week, basically with the kick return. Just checking in, and Sauce is going to be on or on Stephon Diggs for the most part. And Allen hasn't looked great recently, but they're at home in this one. The defense might be able to force Mike White into some mistakes. I mean, Minnesota did last week, and their pass defense is not good. My chair is still terrible. I'm going to lean DPJ in this one on a Tuesday night. Bellinger or Otten. I'm going to lean Otten. A game against San Francisco. Third string quarterback did well last week. Mr. Irrelevant, everybody knows. Maybe it makes me want to lean Bellinger. Tuesday night's too tough, Alan. I haven't analyzed any game, haven't looked over any of the games from last week and rewatched them on NFL.com yet. You know what? I'm going to go Bellinger. They're playing the Eagles. Eagles stink against the tight end. So let's go Bellinger on a Tuesday. So Bellinger, DPJ, and slight lean to Cousins, but all of those are kind of close enough. The reason I'm going to stay away from Otten, he got his touchdown last night. They're going against San Francisco, a really tough defense, and Tampa Bay just might be able to do enough with their defense to slow down Mr. Irrelevant. What's up, Rob? Bam or Cook pickup? I would like to pick up both. I think Zonovan is locked into a better role at this point. He also might have an easier schedule going forward. I know Bill's schedule isn't great. You flip a coin there. Cook has the pedigree, being the higher draft prospect, younger brother of Dalvin. Zonovan is the out of nowhere. But they're using him just like they used Breece Hall. Caught enough passes. He's filling into Breece Hall's role in a way that Michael Carter really wasn't before he got hurt. So I think that I would lean him. The Bills also have two other running backs there. One they traded for. And, the offensive weapons. And you also have Josh Allen will run the ball in every once in a while. So I'll go Zonovan. Would I play Rachaad White over Barkley, Eckler, or Chubb this week? Probably not. I mean, I'm recommending Dameon Pierce over Rachaad White on a Tuesday night. I'm a poet and I know it. Barkley going against the Eagles. I'm fine with that play. Chargers going against the Dolphins. I'm fine with that play. And Chubb's going to be very needed against Cincinnati. So I don't think so. I would not. They are. I don't know what happened in Atlanta this week. I'm not sure. The defense, I don't know. They didn't give up a ton of points, but they didn't score a ton of fantasy points. It was really weird. Couldn't get after the quarterback. Couldn't really get picks or any of that type of stuff. Not too many tackles for loss. But they have a pretty good schedule. So I think that they're still a good play. There just might be better ones out there. I mean, I'm a Steelers defense owner in 2 of my 6 leagues, and I've been actively looking at other defenses to sub them out for. But they do have a couple good matchups. So, I mean, keep them on your roster, and if you drop them, make sure you're picking up somebody with maybe a better matchup. Goff or Cousins pick up with Lamar out. For this week, those two playing each other, I would go with Goff. Goff's at home. I would go with Goff this week over Cousins for sure. Have you on mute. We'll watch later. Defense, Jets, Pats, or Steelers. The Steelers going against Tyler Huntley. Patriots are Monday night. And the Jets, we just talked about the Jets. I I don't know. Against the Bills, I'm probably not going to play the Jets. I'm leaning. I have Patriots and Steelers in one league, and right now I'm leaning Patriots just because it's Monday night and it gives you a shot. But it's on the road. They're way better at home. Um, it's close between Patriots and Steelers for me. Jets would be third on this list. Although it's a divisional game, anything can happen. What was up with Waddle? He got banged up. Um, he got banged up mid-game. They had the one first play to Sherfield, and then it was pretty close, pretty close. Then they couldn't do anything. They had the one bomb to Tyreek. Waddle was a little banged up, and they went away from him. Tua didn't look good. Tua looked scared. I saw somebody who's a friend on Facebook, a Facebook friend, one of those random people that you meet somewhere that you've never met anywhere. And he's a Dolphins fan, and he posted a pretty interesting comment to me. And he watches the Dolphins seemingly religiously, and in his eyes, Tua saw Jimmy G get hurt, and from that moment on, became squeamish and scared, and was getting rid of the ball, not going into like quicker than he should, not allowing any type of contact to come his way, almost like he was afraid that, oh man, I don't want to get hurt again, type of thing. So I don't know, because then it was kind of late in the game when that Tyreek Hill one went, but Waddle got banged up. They sort of did a little nothing. Not sure what that means, but I hate Bills. Not the Buffalo Bills, but Bills. So yeah. Jeff Wilson, Waddle killed me this week. What's up their picks? I don't know. But the Sunday show, we went off of Jeff Wilson, Alan. Typically, you watch the shows. Um, it wasn't you that asked the question about Jeff Wilson. Maybe it was Spencer. I'm not sure. But yeah, Waddle was a fine play. I wasn't afraid of him, but he got banged up in game. And like I said, Tua didn't look himself when I was watching it live. Like I said, today was a busy day. Last night was a busy night, and then these next 2 nights will be busy too. I'm doing after school now, so I'll be getting home like over an hour later than I normally am. So I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to be able to fit in all the analysis and whatnot that I need to do. Did not even get to analyze the Thursday game, but mostly because when I looked at it, I kind of felt like there's not too much to analyze, except for the fact that Baker Mayfield is now on the Rams. And it'll be interesting to see if Baker Mayfield um, gets any burn in this one. I can't see that happening. Rob had texted me shortly after I found out the news to let me know the news, because he knows that I have a love affair with Mr. Baker Mayfield. And he said that you possibly might start. Now, listen, the two quarterbacks they have are terrible. Wolford got hurt again last game. Um, I can't see him coming in, though, on a Tuesday night or Tuesday afternoon, and then playing essentially, 48 hours later, maybe 50, 52 hours later. Don't think that's going to happen. But in the coming weeks and in coming years, it's an interesting situation. I don't know if Sean McVay is going to be there after this year. I don't know if they'll fire him or he'll just walk away, go and be a on TV broadcaster or on one of the shows or something. But maybe just to step away. It's like everybody won their Super Bowl and they just kind of had enough. I don't think Matt Stafford comes back with his multiple concussions back to back. And, he's a family man. His wife is trying to talk about it playing from what I've read. So, like, Baker's got a shot if he does something. I don't think it'd be this week, but so this week they're, dire straits, but they played okay offensively last week, ended up getting, beat pretty good at the end by the Seahawks. The Seahawks closed out, but they gave them a game. I thought the Seahawks were going to lose that one and blow it. So at home against Vegas, Van Jefferson is viable in this one, and they're using all the young guys. They're using all the guys, Tutu Atwell, Boog Powell. So you don't want to play in these guys, not week 14, not the last week of the regular season. Cam Akers, possibly. Maybe they get Kyron more involved this week if you have to. It's by McGinnis, though. We'll talk about this when we do the recorded shows. My goodness, so many teams on bye. Not many good quarterbacks on bye, but I'm in one league. It's a dynasty league, and my entire bench is on a bye. But my entire bench is usually my starters. So it's a ton of Packers, Colts, Redskins, Commanders, sorry. Um, and they're all on a bye. So maybe you got to play one of these guys. And I actually recommended one as a name to at least look at for Jeremy. But the running back's fine. And then in Vegas, I mean, you're going to play Adams. You can play Foster Moreau if you have to. He wasn't too involved last week, but all they threw to was Devontae Adams. Look at Derek Carr's stats, and then look at Devontae Adams' stats. It's almost, I would say, probably 80% of his yards went to Devontae Adams. I didn't look exact numbers, but I looked at him real quick, and I would say it's pretty darn close to at least 3/4, if not more, 80%. So he just throws to Adams. So it's Adams and Jacobs. That's about it. That's all you can really do here. Josue, luckily you survived him. Yeah, man. I had Lamar. I had Traylon Burks. Burks catches the touchdown, goes out the rest of the game. I had Lamar, got me 1 point and change. I ended up having my lowest output of the season in the league. I always get lucky in, and you know what? That's the way it goes. I've had so much luck to get where I'm at, and this week was just terrible luck. The rest of my team did okay, but without having those two guys for basically 2 whole games, I basically played a game with 7 guys against 9 guys and still finished respectable. I think it was like 40-point loss without a quarterback and 1 less wide receiver. Not too bad. But it is what it is. It's how it goes. And now we got to move on and go forward. This is our last shot. And if we don't get in this week, then we start looking at next year. Unless you're in a consolation bracket. And if your league does consolation brackets, don't give up. Keep playing. Play the waiver wire. I don't care. If your league has a consolation bracket, it should be for something. And if it's for something, then you get to pick up guys. And if anybody has a problem with that, then tell them to talk to the commissioner and switch it. If Walker is out, I'm gonna have to play either Gus or try to pick up James Cook. I like the second idea. But you know what? Tyler Huntley, he could fill in just like Lamar. He won't run as much as Lamar, so he might be looking to hand it off more. So I can't recommend a Baltimore running back because it was a cohort I did not like going into the season just because there were too many. But I do like Gus as a football player. I mean, I do like Dobbins as a football player. You all know from watching us for a couple of years at least that I like Kenyon Drake. The problem is there's just too much of it and not enough of it to go around. But now that Lamar's not there, maybe Gus is a decent play. I would try and pick up James Cook and then see what happens on Sunday and figure out which one to play. So, I mean, that's about it unless we have anything else to say. The waiver is pretty thin, but I would imagine a lot of people have a lot of people to pick up tonight. There's a ton of positions as I sink lower into the depths of oblivion. There are a lot of people on buys. There's going to be a lot of needs to fill. I wish you all the best of luck. Our Saturday recorded shows that we'll probably do Friday night. Rob, if you're still on here, maybe you could fill us in on that. Not sure if you are or if you aren't. I wish this showed me who was on. All it does is just gives me a number. I want to know who they are. But anyways, probably record it Friday night, drop it Saturday. We'll do the Sunday morning show like we do for just the questions. But there are so many injuries out there. Traylon Burks is one that's really bothering me at this point because I have him in 4 leagues. Good. Rob says yes. Friday night, late night, we will record them. So they'll be live on the page and on YouTube on Saturday. So Burks, I mean, Walker, you just have so much. And with the buys coming in, this is just going to be a ridiculous week. I'm waiting to see how it all shakes out. I'm going to get to my analysis. Maybe I'll watch a couple game tapes tonight, a couple re-shows. It's good because you could watch them and they're sort of, the commercials are gone and you can fast forward through some nonsense. So I can get through a couple games in a couple hours. Maybe I'll do that tonight once I get off here and start prepping for next week. But again, I'm going to be watching so much, and so many of these teams aren't even playing this week. So I won't even have to watch really when they have the ball unless I'm looking at the defense. And so many guys got hurt this season. I gotta say, Rob says he'll post that night, so post peeps will have to wait. Well, we'll be live Sunday morning anyways. But this season's just so ridiculous, and what a way to end it! What a way to end it! You knock out Lamar, you knock out a couple more wide receivers, a couple more running backs, and then you have 6 teams on a bye. It's just so 2022. But we get to watch Vegas and the Rams on Thursday. So what a better Thursday ending to our fantasy regular season. It's not the last Thursday game of the year, but it's the last one that we have a shot to make the playoffs if we have not. So with that being said, 27 minutes sounds good to me. If we have no more questions, I see we still have a bunch of people watching. Thank you all for watching. Sorry I don't have more for you tonight. I was going to have the rundown, ended up getting onto it late. A couple technical difficulties, a couple things here on my end that I was busy doing. But really, we know if we're watching each and every show, if we're listening and reading each and every post as much as we can, we had a really good week last week. But Watson was a bad call by me, and I'll own up to it. And for that, Don Hamilton, I'm going to add your name again to the T-shirt list. And we still need some more people for the T-shirts. So, Rob, you're going to have to remind me because I'm getting old. When we do the recorded shows, we're going to have something in there, a little Easter egg. So you're going to have to watch them to find out what you need to do to get on that T-shirt list because we want to give away a couple more T-shirts before the season's over, before we get into lucky season number 7. So best of luck. We will see you all Sunday morning and have a great night.